Have you ever had one of those quiet moments where you suddenly realize, I think I'm changing? Maybe the things that used to matter less. Maybe the things you once tolerated feel harder to ignore. Or maybe your priorities feel different. Your energy feels different. Even the way you move through the world feels slightly unfamiliar. And perhaps that feels exciting, or it feels a little unsettling. Because change, even beautiful change, can sometimes feel uncomfortable, especially if life has stretched you, or changed you, softened you, or broken open parts of you in ways you never expected. Maybe you look back at a version of yourself and think, I don't feel like that person anymore. And then comes the question, is that a good thing? Or maybe you've quietly wondered, can I trust who I am becoming? So if that feels familiar, let's explore that together and unfold it layer by layer today. Grab a glass of water or a warm cup of tea, and if you can, just sit back for a few minutes, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hello, and a warm welcome to my podcast show, Your Fertility Counselor. I'm your host, Tanya Fessler, and together we will dive into all things fertility, offering support, expert insights, and practical evidence-based advice for anyone navigating their fertility journey. So grab a cup of tea and make yourself comfortable. Let's get started. Hello and a warm welcome back. Today, I want to talk about becoming, not in a self-improvement kind of way, not fix yourself, not reinvent yourself, something softer, something kinder, something more honest. Because maybe becoming isn't about becoming someone new, but maybe it's about becoming more fully yourself, if that's the right word to use. And that sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Until it feels maybe unfamiliar, until your old ways stop fitting, until boundaries start changing, or until your values start shifting, until your nervous system quietly says, I want peace now. I want gentleness. I don't want to live the same way anymore. So this can be sometimes also tricky because so many people become afraid because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. And we wonder, am I losing myself? What if I disappoint people? What if I'm changing too much? And what if I don't recognize myself anymore? But maybe this isn't loss. Maybe this is growth, in fact. It's maybe a quiet growth or an invisible growth. The kind that happens slowly underneath, like roots. This is like those roots that ground you, where growth happens, but you don't really see it from the outside. And perhaps the real invitation isn't, can I control who I'm becoming, but more of, can I trust myself enough to grow? So today, let me offer you 3 gentle reflections I've been thinking about. The first is growth often feels unfamiliar before it feels comfortable. Of course, change feels strange. You are stepping into new ways of being and new ways of speaking, perhaps. You are resting or choosing, loving, setting boundaries for that, feeling tremendous joy. And that takes adjustment because change walks through different phases. And when we feel very excited about change, we can jump very, very quickly and we can become that fast adapter, almost with a blink of an eye. But if change feels unfamiliar, we can become defensive. We can also become resistant to change. And that's when it goes a little bit slower. But that's fine too. So all what matters is take your own pace. You are your own pacemaker. Go with the pace that suits you the best. Another thought that crossed my mind was you are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. And this one matters so much. And I know it can sometimes be really hard because the people around us are so familiar of you being you. But maybe you can't wait to actually outgrow that old version of you. So in coaching, we always say the 5 people that surround you the closest are a reflection of who you are. And maybe that's a little reflection in itself for you today. To think about who are those 5 closest people that are closest in my life right now? Because those 5 people would be the reflection of the version of you today. So if you outgrow the old version of you, you may need to find a different crowd. You may need to start connecting with people where you feel really aligned. And sometimes this can be painful because even the best friend that you had all these years along, maybe that's a person that doesn't fit in that circle anymore. And that's where we need to make tough decisions sometimes. But if this really matters to you, you are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to change priorities. If you have different needs, you are allowed to go with those needs, to nurture them, to softer things. And you are not betraying yourself in that moment. You are simply evolving. And the third that came to my mind when I was reflecting is that trust grows through evidence. We often think trust appears magically, but self-trust grows quietly through moments, tiny promises kept, tiny acts of care, tiny moments where you realize, oh, I handled that. I listened to myself. I protected my peace. Little by little, you start trusting yourself more. And that's all what matters, especially if you find yourself on this evolving journey. So before we close today, here is what I can offer you. Something gentle, a little visualization, almost like a conversation. So take a slow breath in. And if it feels okay, close your eyes for a moment. And now imagine a version of you, perhaps 6 months from now, not perfect, not dramatically transformed, just slightly more grounded. Feel those roots grounded into earth, making you feel so stable and grounded. Feeling like this oak tree, full of experience and wisdom, standing there no matter what. And at the same time, feeling softer, wiser, more at peace. And then notice how they carry themselves, how they speak, what matters to them, how they treat themselves. And then notice how you carry yourself. How do you speak? What matters to you? How do you treat yourself? How do you love? How do you rest? How do you respond to hard moments, tough moments? How do you make decisions at cross junctions? And now gently imagine this future version of you sits beside you right now, right here, and quietly asks, what are you most afraid of right now? Pause and listen. And then imagine them gently responding. You don't have to have it all figured out. You're already becoming. And before you leave that moment, ask, what do I most need to remember right now? And just notice what comes. No pressure, no right answer, just listening. Because perhaps becoming isn't something you force. Perhaps it's something you slowly trust. And maybe the person you are becoming is someone your younger self would feel safe with. Thank you for being here with me today. It really means the world to me. You tuning in here, spending time with me here, it's absolutely amazing. I feel humbled, I feel honored, and I feel deeply, deeply grateful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you know someone who you care about and who you feel would benefit from this as well, and maybe you can grow together into becoming that version of you that you visualize, that you dream of, I want to hear that. Please, please, please share on our social media wall. Let us know how this journey is evolving for you. With that, I'm sending you lots of great vibes. Take gentle care of yourself. Bye for now and see you next week. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Fertility Counselor podcast. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. If you need support or have any questions, reach out to us via email at inquiries@counselingconnects.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Fertility Connects. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to learn more about us and the services we offer, head to www.fertilityconnects.com. And if you're looking for support beyond fertility, visit www.counselingconnects.com. Take care and we'll see you in the next episode.